Welcome everyone to GPU the show. That's GPU stands for Game Players United. I'm producer Marshall, and joined here today by a very special guest, Kevin, aka Ram J. Am I saying that correctly?
uh, Runjay, I
Rem
guess.
J. Rem J. Sorry, Rem J. He's a local producer, a local game developer here in Sacramento. He's the project lead for Metal Burst Primordial Forces, which is being made as part of the Progressive Game Jam #6, of course, facilitated by Sacramento Developers Collective. And his work is being featured for the Capital Creative Showcase. Kevin, thank you very much for joining me.
Yeah, I'm glad to be here.
So, just so basic. So, tell us a bit about yourself. Tell us about your life as a gamer. What did you grow up a gamer? What inspired you to become a developer and stuff like that?
In reference to this project, this is a shoot 'em up I'm making. I guess like it's hard to say like what the first game I ever played was because it's like I don't know if it was like if my first game was played on a Game Boy, if it was played on a Windows 98 because it's like I don't remember which one I played first. So the first game I ever played was either Mario Land 6 or Tyrion 2000. So it's my first game. It's one or the other. And one of them
Nice.
is Shmup, which just so happens to be what I'm making right now. So
There you go. You can draw a straight line to that. So, tell us, are you this project of yours, Metal Burst? Is this like a you're part of a team? Are you guys a development studio or just kind of an ad hoc team?
we're just an ad hoc team. We were formed earlier this year in January. Um, Basically, all of us heard of the Progressive Game Jam. We kind of just showed up in person at the event in January, and then we formed a team on February. So we met this year, and we didn't know each other prior to this event.
Pretty quick time to come together. It's really impressive. I covered a. I'm also the lead editor of Last Token Gaming, a gaming blog based here in Sacramento, and I covered a game jam last year, and just really impresses me how people can get some really substantive projects together in such a short amount of time. How do you like the game jam format? What are its ups and downs for you?
Well, in as a game, the Progressive Game Jam is pretty unique as a game jam because it's actually like an 8 month long game jam where usually a game jam is like 48 hours. So it's like it's
Right.
pretty different in comparison to a 48-hour format because it's like you get more time to actually flesh something out. And whereas in a 48-hour game jam, it's kind of just about getting something done. So it's like they're a little different from each other. I've done both of them. This is my first time doing a project of this length, and this is also my first time doing a group project. So
Yeah, I totally agree. The progressive game jam, the idea of having multiple ones over a span of months, it's such a great idea, and I'm surprised that, as far as I know, it hasn't really happened much elsewhere outside of Sacramento. So we're kind of ahead of the curve. So tell me more about Metal Burst. So you said it's like a shoot 'em up kind of game. What are some? Just tell me a bit about it. Some of the basics.
well, Metal Burst is a metal themed shoot 'em up. So yeah, a shoot 'em up is basically a type of arcade style game. It's very railroaded, and basically you control a character, and you're thrown onto a stage, and then you uh, fight wave after wave of enemies in like and the waves are thrown at you in an automatic way. So it's like it's all railroaded. So it's very combat heavy game. It's very arcadey. It's very action based. So it really, in theory, it's supposed to test your reflexes, and also you generally play shmups for scoring purposes to like constantly improve yourself and such.
Exactly. Yeah, like Metal Slug. I've been playing the Metal Slug 3 as of late. I know that's one shoot 'em up. Uh, so what are some things about Metal Burst that stand out, or you think can kind of separate it in the shoot 'em up field?
I did do some research before I made my game. I actually first conceived this game idea back in 2016, actually.
Ooh.
I'd say the most unique part about it is probably the theming I'm going for. like the premise. Like, I use well, I don't use it, but it's rather like lightly themed around metal music. It's like I don't go exactly ultra hard into like the theme of metal music, but I kind of just made a shmup that's kind of just lightly themed around it. It uses metal style music as the background tracks, and that's probably the most unique part about the game. Well, it's the most easily explained part that's like unique about it.
I like that. I like that. Tailoring a shoot 'em up around metal music. That sounds really fun.
Although one of the problems I encountered with this is that like I I'm not sure if I like went like I didn't go ultra hard into the theme because like I myself am not exactly the most hardcore fan of metal music, and because of that, it's like I didn't really like decide to go ultra hard into it when making this game, like when designing this game as well. So
No, I can relate there. Like I like a decent amount of metal, but yeah, I'm not like a total metal head. Like yeah, like or, super hardcore into it. So no, that's still a great idea. I like that. Is this your first project, or do you have any other games or betas out there? Or
this is my first project, like working with a team in a team environment, and it's also my first project that was made in such a long time frame. Everything else that I've made prior were made for 48-hour game jams, and all of them were also made in RPG Maker, and they were also all solo projects.
how has quarantine impacted your game development approach?
Like what the differences are, I think the biggest difference is that the monthly meetings between like all the progressive game jam groups are like a lot shorter and also a lot less like social, because the online meetings only last an hour long, and I suspect that if these were like in person, it would last substantially longer. Because of that, there would be a lot more cross pollination of ideas and a lot more like in person socializing, and also a lot more in person play testing as well. So
No, that's interesting. That definitely is a big difference, and I can see what you're talking about. Yeah, there's that organic spark when you meet in person where you can come up with something on the fly, and there's just an excitement to talking about it, and you can't really replicate that like on a Zoom call or a Google Hangout. That is true. What are some? Are there? I know I've asked about like maybe favorite games, and you say just kind of play whatever. Are there specific, like I mentioned Metal Slug earlier, are there specific games that are influences on Metal Burst?
definitely. I refer to these games as reference games, and the primary reference game for Metal Burst is a game series called Toho, which is also another series of shoot 'em ups. And yeah, they were the primary reference like I used when designing this game, and it was also the primary influence on me making the game. Since Toho had some really good music in it, and it's like because like I like the music in that so much, it's like also the reason why I focus a little bit more on music on this game as well. And a little fun fact, if you actually pay close attention to the game, Metalverse, you may notice that the gameplay is partially in sync with the music that's playing in the background.
Oh, nice. I love when action and music sync up in a video game. That's a really
But then it was also partially necessity because like it's a shoot 'em up, so it's incredibly railroaded, and like all levels are technically auto scrollers. So it's like because of that, it's like like the players need like some sort of landmark, and you're like feel for like where they are in the level, and because of like the backgrounds don't really do that, and like the formations kind of do that, but I made it so that the music is the primary like focal point in attempting to measure like at what point in the level the player is.
yeah, that's nice. Yeah, and that is true. The more again, I've only have like a fairly limited experience with bullet hells, but each one that I've played, bullet hells shoot them up. But yeah, there always is that rhythmic emphasis on music that really that's not just in the background; it's correlated so deeply with the action. So, well, I really appreciate said before. I really appreciate you taking the time to interview, and I'm really excited to try out your game. And wishing you and your team the best of luck. And thanks again. This is Marshall with GPU the Show, joined by Kevin, and be sure to check out his game. Metal Burst Primordial Forces, and I'll see you next time. Take care.